Good. So, welcome to the Ask Biz show. My name's Kevin Adelsberger, and I own Adelsberger Marketing. And the Ask Biz show exists for one reason, or two reasons. One is to help you do business better, and maybe make you think that I know what I'm talking about. And so, last week we started talking about the four P's of marketing, which are product, price, promotion, and place. And so this week we're talking about price. Um, Pricing is the hardest thing that I have to do about my business. I meet with a client, talk about what their needs are, and then I think through ways that I can help them. And I try to give a couple of different options, a good, better, best type scenario where they have options to maybe think about something that fits within their budget. Not everybody is in that situation. If you're selling a food item or a product, you probably don't have multiple tiers. You might have different options on the menu, but there's not usually, I'm going to sell you a good, better, best version of this hamburger. Um, that would probably not go over well. And so, how do you set your price? Now, the purpose of pricing, in my estimation, is to find what is the maximum amount you can charge for something while still retaining the largest number of potential clients. That's a really hard line to toe, but if you can figure it out, you can become very successful. And so we look at someone like Apple, who has figured out exactly how much, and they could probably charge more and people would still pay for it, probably less people, but how much they can charge for a new iPhone and still make a huge profit margin somewhere. Some people even say there's up to a 60% profit margin built into the cost of an iPhone, which is insane. And one of the reasons they're able to do some of the stuff they're able to do. And so when you're thinking about pricing your product, especially if you're starting out as a new business, or if you're already an existing business, how do you make sure that your pricing is well? There's a couple things. One is you have to measure your costs. Now, if you're doing something just as a hobby or as a part, something you just do for fun, like knitting or painting signs, or even if you're doing photography on the side, or you just like to work on people's cars on the weekends, having measured your costs aren't as important because that's not your goal. Your goal is not making money. Your goal is having fun. But if you want to someday turn that into something where you're able to make money on a full scale basis, you're going to want to look at things like what is the actual time I have in there. A lot of business owners don't think about the amount of time that they have put into something, and so when they go to price it, they maybe end up working for a couple of dollars an hour instead of $15 or $20 an hour, based on that individual product. And so the thing that I caution people most is take account of your time. A lot of people forget about counting their time, and that's the most valuable thing that most of us have is time. But then you also have to think about other fixed costs like rent, or if you have an internet store, like how much does it cost out of every transaction for them? How much are they going to take? How much is the credit card fee going to take, which is a standard about 3%? And so think about all those costs when you're determining your price. Make sure that you're covering all those basic costs, or you're going to end up losing money or leaving money on the table. Additionally, this goes back to when you're starting a business. Is this something people are actually going to pay for? Now, they might buy a $50 product at what it needs to be is $50 product at $20, but you can't survive if you're selling it for $20. So think about all those costs when you're building your pricing plan. Additionally, you got to think about how much profit you want to make. Some people want to make only a small amount of profit on many items, and some people want to make a lot of profit on a few items. And so things like, a great example of this is pizza places. You have a Little Caesars who you can buy a pizza for $5, or maybe it's $5.99, and they have a very, very small profit margin. Whereas a local pizza place that makes really nice pizzas might charge $20 or $20 plus for pizza, and hopefully they've built in a much larger profit margin because they're going to sell far fewer pizzas than Little Caesars. And so if you are building your business, which end of that spectrum are you on? Are you on the small side where you are doing one or two items that are at a high cost? Or are you doing a bulk thing where you can sell 100 widgets and make $1 per widget instead of making 2 widgets and making $50 a widget? And then this also builds into how many customers are you wanting to work with. Now you can do some math and you can see, well, maybe if I charge X number of dollars extra per product, I'll have a few less customers, but I'll get paid the same amount and do the same thing do the same amount or do less work and make the same amount of money. And so you got to think about how many customers you want to serve, what your capabilities are, what your costs are, and those are all the things that go into determining your pricing. Now, a marketer like myself could help you with thinking about how do you determine that pricing. Maybe you do some customer surveys, maybe do some customer interviews to help determine what kind of range that you can charge for your things. And then also you can increase that price over time. The more skilled you get, the more expertise, the more brand recognition you have, you can up that price. There's some other thoughts about pricing. That's a pretty straightforward thought about pricing. There's some other things like value pricing, and I'm not an expert on value pricing. I do like the concept, which is what is this worth to the person as opposed to how much time is it going to take me. The Businessology show is a great resource for value pricing, and that basically says this may be worth more to one customer than it is the other, and maybe I'll charge the one it's worth more to because they're going to get more value out of it. And so if you are really thinking about pricing, the Businessology show is a wonderful resource. It's a podcast to look through some potential options for pricing. Most of those have to do with marketing agencies, but some of the same policy applies across the lines. In my latest blog post, I put a link to their podcast about value pricing, and it's worth a listen. It's very eye-opening. I didn't have any questions coming this week, so I'm just going to bring it to a close here. I want to say Tuesday at 5:30, next Tuesday at 5:30, we'll be teaching a class here at the Co called How to Measure Social Media. And so that's free. Next Tuesday, 5:30, free at the Co, How to Measure Social Media. And I think you would potentially really enjoy coming to that. So if you have any feedback about the show, you can email me at kevin@adelsbergermarketing.com. Give me a call, 731-506-5339. And you can sign up for my monthly newsletter at adelsbergermarketing.com. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you are pricing your products well. I hope I'm pricing my products well. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks.